Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome into Husker Hangover. I am your host, Matt Burzall. Thank you for joining in today. It is Sunday. It is 8:05. It was a good holiday weekend, except for the Friday football game, to which our beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers lost to the Iowa Hawkeyes in only a fashion that they could pull off. Dominated the game in really every way, shape, and form, except the scoreboard, and snatched defeat from the jaws of victory once again to finish the regular season 6-6. um, um, yeah, there's a lot. I just don't know anymore, man. I don't know. I mean, never really seen anything like it. Um, don't know how it got to this. Well, I know how it got to this point. It's poor leadership from the powers that be at the University of Nebraska. It's got nothing to do with Rule, and I know we're already in the comments about firing staff and whatnot. And the leadership direction from AD spots, from border region spots, from all of those things, I think trickle down into this and lead to this. And I know I've said that, um, from the jump. I don't like starting from the top, like, oh, they won't let us stand on their logo and pray before the game. Okay. Let's be resourceful, right? Let's make a circle around the whole thing. Just stand in a big circle around their logo. The sheriffs can stand in the middle. Everybody hold hands, do your praying thing. If Rule wants to walk around the field before the game, do your thing. If you don't want to shake hands, my side of life, like, I was brought up to shake a man or a woman's hand whatever you're doing. Okay. Twofold. I want to shake your hand and I want to look into your eyes and I want to maintain eye contact because I want to see in your soul. I want to see in your soul if you believe what you're going to do today is going to work for you. And if I've prepared and I'm as confident as I am in myself, I'm going to look you in the eye and say, yeah, I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to give it a bit of a crunch. And I'm going to whoop your ass. Like, I want to see you. I want to see your face. I want to see what you believe because I can see that in your eyes. I can. Just my 2 cents. Like that's how I would have done it. Don't care if you do it or don't. Okay, it's a new era, a new generation. We've accepted a lot of things that I don't think are acceptable. And okay, if you want to do that, though, okay, if you want to do that, you better go out and hand out an ass whooping. If you want to do that, you better go out and hang half 100 on them. Right? You had every opportunity to do so. You're just not a killer. You're not a natural born killer. You're not a competitive. Well, you are competitive, but you're not a foot on the throat guy. You can't knock people out because you had every opportunity to do that. If 5 first downs in the game, again, we're those that have been with me for a while, you'll hear this. The defense should have won the game. The defense should fight the offense at practice, the whole bowl practice. Parts of the offense played good. I thought the offensive line had a decent day again. They had plenty of time to throw the football. had good running opportunities. Iowa made some adjustments. Nebraska didn't quite get on top of the adjustments as quick as I thought they should have, but there were things there to sustain. But then, drops and non-conversions and all those kind of things. You out first down somebody 20-5. You convert 50% of your third downs. They go 0 for 10. 0 for 10. You held a team to 0 for 10 on third down. 0 for 10. And these may be better. I snapshotted this when I was in the middle of it, but I see some of those aren't quite up to snuff right now. But making plays, right? So bad snap on a field goal. Throws off the timing. You're a college athlete. You probably should still make that kick, but we didn't. The punt, field, don't field. Did he touch it? I didn't touch it. Did you touch it? Still think the Iowa guy had his hand in there first, but that it doesn't matter. The referees didn't see it that way. The one long run, your old habits kind of revert back to what they were, where you're going to make the big play instead of just making the play. Drop a ball that is a really well designed play, really well executed. You have open space in front of you to run for a while. And then at the end, ball's low, guy reaches in, knocks it out, recovers it, just out-efforted you. 60-year tackle is not ready for the count, gets beat. And you just find ways to not perform at the highest level. Like you find ways to not do things that will get you over the hump. But then you will tell me it's different. You're this and you're that and the other, and it is what it is. Attrition is coming. There'll be guys that'll transfer out. There'll be coaches that will no longer be on staff. But it's the same shit, different toilet, man. It really is. And it's hard to watch, and it's hard to look at. It's hard to support. Because if you accept this is what it is, then you're also part of the problem. It's a great thing about Nebraska fans is that we hold our guys to a higher standard of things, even though we've been below mediocre for a long time. Still don't know, if you have like just alpha dog competitors. And in that testosterone-laden game of what we all saw yesterday, where there were fights after quite a few of the games, I think Michigan, Ohio State set the tempo early, where guys had watched the games and then just said, "Oh, when we lose, we'll do that too." How about this thought? How about you go out and you don't fucking lose, and then you don't have to do dumb shit? Kind of reached my wit's end with it. It's just, it is what it is. And that's apathetic. And I agree, but just been a season that I think that's, I said this, I think last year. My buy into this, when I feel you care more than I do, then I'll probably watch harder. And I'll pay attention more. But I don't need any more of it. It is what it is. Still love Nebraska. Still will probably pay attention, but it's just isn't. That isn't what it should be. I'm not sure who they need to bring in to fix it. I think the head coach is the right guy. It's just got to make some changes if it's personnel, coaches, whatever. But something's got to change. On a positive note, we do get to go to a bowl game. We do get 15 extra practices. If any of the players are listening, sorry about that. If any of the players are listening, if you do want to portal out, please do it before the bowl game so we can kind of take this game. And I don't care how it goes for you. Then we can figure out what we got for players. If it's young guys playing, if it's guys we've never heard of play, I'm in for it. Give it a shot. See what the hell happens. Yeah. That's about all I got. So if you want to fire away in the comments, fire away. Johnny says Nebraska's held a team to less than 200 yards, only allowed 5 first downs, held their All-American running back to less than 50 yards, except for one play. And they still figured out a way to lose the game. There's no excuse. Perdone had 5 first downs last night, lost 66-0. Nayers Drump will haunt us for decades. Last time I checked, our higher powers don't care what you are when you pray. A hard handshake while staring into the other person's eyes sends a message and signals acting like a child. Oh, that one moved. There we go. And refusing to shake hands. Yeah. Just don't know anymore. Don't know where to. Man. The defense played so good. They played so good except for one play. They played. I mean, legit played their ass off. Like Iowa didn't like everything. Everything Iowa wanted to do was just go out, run the ball, be physical, all those things. Nebraska's defense was able to thwart that for quite a while. Now you're playing at an advantage because their quarterback, which makes it even more embarrassing. Like their quarterback, outside of a couple throws over the middle, which in the 3-3-5 or the 3-3-3, they're going to be able to hit some of those balls. But that kid wasn't a quarterback that should have beat you. Like I told a lot of people, the running back was my fear. Steady died at number 2 the whole game. And outside of, and I know you can't, it's all part of the game, but outside of one play, like you had him bottled up. Like you had him embarrassingly locked down. And he listen, you want to know the difference in the game? A big time player made a big time play in a big time game for Iowa. And for Nebraska, the big time players didn't make big time plays in a big time game. And it's with the psyche of the team. You know, I'm not blaming anything on one play, but you can't have that bad snap at that time on the field goal, that whole pull to the left when the ball wasn't on point. Right? It's a tough way to live, like to have to do everything perfectly all the time. But it's something that had been happening for quite a while. Like you were on a roll with your guys making field goals and all those kind of things. So to have that happen, that was the first little pebble that started to roll. And, you know, you're kind of back and forth and you do your thing. And then it just was things that were gaining momentum, right? They were gaining momentum of it starting to shift in Iowa's form, even though Nebraska was still playing great defense. And just that's your job. Don't care cold, don't care hot, don't care sweaty, don't care frozen. You have to go out and execute. A buddy of mine, really good deep snapper from an era gone by, sent me a message, said, get in the portal and get the best snapper available. Pay him as much as possible. I was like, yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, what's okay. For us to not live this anymore, there's a couple ways this got to go, in my opinion. one opinion, I don't like this opinion, is you go out and you start chucking money around. And if you think it's talent, then you start spending. You start spending like crazy and get it in here. And then see if Rule and his crew can coach it and discipline it and coach it. Because you can still spend and you can still lose. Ask Ohio State. All right. Or you go out and you find like grinders. You go find guys that love practice. You don't have guys even associated with your program that say, "Oh shit, we got another month of practice." Find guys that love just to practice. Right now, where Nebraska's at, I think tough and semi-talented will win more games for you than weak-minded and over-talented. Not saying that all the guys they bring in are weak-minded, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. I think there's got to be a shift in expectation of coaches. There's obviously some things that are the beauty of sport and football and all those things is you can go in, and if you're a grinder and you're a preparer, you can work yourself out of things. I'm not saying you're going to catch every ball that's thrown. I'm not saying you're never going to fumble. I'm not saying you're never going to miss an assignment, but you can go in and prepare so much that it becomes the game slows down. It becomes easy and it becomes simple to you. And honestly, you know where the opponent's going to go or what they're going to do before they do. But that comes with guys that like love to just play. It's consumed them from a young age. Like the Sawyer guy that freaked out at Ohio State about the flag and all that stuff, and you're not going to plant it on our field, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's great. And that kid plays his ass off. He really does. But to be that bothered by somebody planting a flag on your field after you lost, I like guys like that. I like guys that get pissed at things like that because it matters. They care about it. They want to do their thing. Yeah, Johnny, you could be right. That pass play was it was a pass and then a run. Sorry about that. We're talking about the number two when he scored the touchdown. It was a swing pass. I apologize. But you got to find guys that love it. I think we have guys that like it. I know we have guys that like the benefits that come along with it at Nebraska. There's a lot of them. A lot. The game should be what you love. It's one of the fun things about calling the state championship games. I had Monday this year, so I had D1, D2, and A. Like that's the end of the road for a lot of those kids. And they played their asses off. First game, unfortunately, didn't go real well for Riverside, but got to credit the other side on being ready for it. Central Valley was ready to go. The Sandy Creek Stanton game was just awesome, back and forth. And you saw the two most talented teams probably in the state of Nebraska just kind of went at it and had a day. But you could see there were some, there was guys that had bothered that they came out on the short end of the stick because they know the work they had done. And they busted their ass and it wasn't enough. And that's a great lesson to learn. You can do everything right and still lose. In the case of Nebraska, there were things that weren't done right still. They weren't done right. And it cost you a game. And when you look back on the season, you can go back and find a bunch of those. You can go back and find a bunch of those kind of games that just cost you. Yeah. It's kind of like people you meet, like, and you want to like them for whatever reason. They just keep doing dumb shit, and like, hey man, don't make it hard for me to like you. Don't make it hard for me to be your friend. It's the only thing I could equate it to. Harry says, why did Ja'Cory Barney get put into the witness protection program against Iowa? 3 receptions. I think Iowa did a pretty good job of limiting his access. I think they were all over a lot of stuff, and I had kind of moved to think he was the guy that kind of stirred the drink for Nebraska. Once he got going, everybody kind of got hype and the way they went. So I said, well, we're going to limit what he can do and then make 4 or 18 beat us. It was good to see. It was good to see 29. Good to see Carter Nelson, involved in some play design. Donnie, after getting benched from the false start, which I think nobody ever confirmed, but that was the way I interpreted it. Did some good things. They stretched him out a little bit. They ran him on a nice little corner route, kind of in the middle of the field, got him in between zone coverage, made a nice catch. So that was good to see. The weapons, like when you settle into a game and you realize that, hey, they're gonna take him away, who's stepping up? Who's gonna be the guy? Because Holgorsen knew, but you still run things that involve Barney, and you still think he's talented enough to get himself open. And Iowa did pretty good. And I'm sure if you got any screenshots or whatever of him running wide open somewhere, there probably exist. And we probably didn't get the pass made, but that's who's next is the thing. Like, yeah, it's great that we have a lot of talent in various rooms on the team, but the talent's got to want to step up, and the talent's got to want to make the play. That talent has got to be better, and it's got to perform. It just has to, especially in that game, in that setup, in that scenario. You're in full control. Now, the part where you can eliminate the worry about the snapper is you continue to move the ball down the field and you score touchdowns. You get yourself in a spot where, they had Iowa in the grindhouse a couple times, just able to get first downs and first downs and first downs, and you can't have things stall. Much as the snapper needed to be perfect on that play, the Nebraska offense needed to continue to execute to make sure they got the ball into the end zone. And we've told this story with Iowa before. You've had the chance. This isn't new. They've come back and done this to you multiple times. But you had the chance to just grind them into the ground and get up, 24, 27, something, 20 something to nothing. And the dog that should be in you wasn't in you to get that done. They wanted to stop you more than you wanted to score. That's a you problem. You have to figure that out. Travis says right there with you, verse, want to find a reason to care, but this team continues to find ways to suck that out of my soul. John says I was quarterback playing scout team linebacker 5 weeks ago. Yeah. WBD3 says 24 games into Rule's tenure at Nebraska, they have a minus 18 total combined turnover margin. Turnover is something that have haunted us for quite a while. It's gotten a little better, not much better under Rule, but let art imitate life. Give all your skill guys a football. Make them carry it to class. Student comes back with the ball from class. Well, the way it is now, though, if a student got it out of the guy's hands, he'd probably fight him and get kicked out of the school anyway. So let's not do that. But maybe that's another teammate. Nah, they'd brother-in-law that. They wouldn't do it. So, yeah. Whatever your form of punishment is at practice, guy fumbles in practice, make him do that. It's we're not good enough to have a minus 18 turnover margin. We're just not. Harris' special teams and competence all year has cost us games. It did the other night. I would even say QB play has cost us games. I don't care about stars or pampering. Just effing tougher, hang on to the ball and go stand on the sideline. The special teams are it's quite a discussion, right? Because you have talented kids and that are on your special teams. It's just that intricate detail to every scenario. Like when when you have that punt, it's going to transition the football to your offense, and you're the punt returner. If you have an inkling of a doubt, if you have an inkling of a doubt that you don't think you're going to field that ball, there can be no hesitation. Okay, there was a second guessing in there. He wanted to catch it, they didn't want to catch it, they pulled off of it. The minute the inkling of doubt happens, from a coaching aspect, it's like, oh, I got the wrong guy in there. From a player aspect, if you have that inkling of a doubt, you cannot move forward to try to catch the ball anymore. You want to, and I know I'm nitpicking at this, but sprint to the sideline, get away from everything. That way, then there's no drama. Whatever your kill word is, you scream the kill word at the top of your lungs. So everybody that's covering gets out of the way. There's just it's vacant, and you honestly, you say, hey, you might be able to down this at the 1, but guess what? We have the football. We didn't give it to you on a short field. And man, the resilience of the defense, like you give it up there, and you hold them to a field goal. Like you hold them. Was it at the 8, 10? I don't know, but it was in the spot where like, oof, probably gonna give up 7 here, but you didn't. Like you played it well, and it's okay to play the field position game the way that your team is playing, your defense. Sorry, the way your defense is playing. Say in that scenario, Iowa downs at the 1. Okay, great. If you can get it out to the 20 and then your drive stalls, you won that possession. You really did. I don't care where the punter punts it to. Like your defense was playing that well. They were playing lights out. For the greater good go I. If I hesitate, if I don't feel I've got 100% read on it, that I'm going to catch it, I'm going to get a great return, I'm getting the fuck out of the way. And I'm screaming, Peter, 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 kill, kill, kill. So then all of my teammates, which they've been instructed to, they will then sprint out of the way. And then there's no chaos. There's no chaotic moment where I thought he touched it. Like, listen, as a guy watching at home or at Paisans, I wasn't home, I thought the returner touched it. Okay. Then for sure, I thought the next guy in touched it. So when the third guy came in to try to get it, I was like, he has to. In watching that, returner doesn't touch it. Second guy doesn't touch it. Third guy thought everybody had touched it. So you can't make that decision on the fly, but how you get yourself out of that scenario is just start screaming. Peter, 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 kill, kill, kill. Whatever it is. Get out the way. Then you have the ball, which for Nebraska was probably most valuable, but that was the pebble that turned into the boulder that rolled down the hill and won the game. Walter says, with Ty and Nash leaving, Nebraska desperately needs more 300-plus pound defensive linemen. I don't think so. I think Judy played pretty well. I think he's a guy that's going to be really good. I hope he's not one of the ones that wants to transition out. I think he's a good football player. I think they've got a couple young guys in the mix there they like. Country strong and 290, 295, probably a good deal. But I don't know unless they're a freak athlete if you need the 320 pounders. But different story for a different day. Just make sure Judy doesn't leave. Matt says, I love to see the players on the team that like football. Look at the player on the team that loves it. Oh, I'd like to see them look like, yeah. Be like, that dude is crazy. Yeah. You do. You think people think, and for me coming as a redshirt freshman, I was like, man, I love this game. It's awesome. Da, 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 da. And when I got to Nebraska, I realized it didn't matter half as much to me as it did to many of the other people. So I had to amp it up. And when you study and you learn and you watch and you become consumed with it. Then you almost become so knowledgeable that you can fix the problems before it happens, or like it's a great feeling when you're playing and you know what your coach is going to run because you've seen the chessboard move. You've seen, oh, okay, they did this. We're about to do this. And then the coach does it. And you're like, oh, yeah, I'm in your bag, dude. I know what we're doing. And then you just go play. You go play a game that you've got to play since you were a little kid. Yeah, it is. The guys that, or now what they do, man, what are you doing? Why are you trying so hard? Coaches, Pat, all that shit. And the guys love don't care. So no, you got to get to my level as we try to do this. But that is a good one coming from former coach Matt Smith. Who knows that? A skill player that runs a 40.15 second. Oh, runs a 40.15 second slower, or a lineman on either side is 8.2 pounds lighter, but do their jobs on every effing play are better than the players that don't do their jobs. Yeah, the love affair with measurables it's annoying. Football players. You want football players. And man, I'll tell you 100%, this class of 2024 high school kids, I feel for you. I feel so bad for some of the guys that are kind of in that middle range. Because, I talk to them, I know some of them. I'm like, hey, what are you thinking here? What's going to happen? Where are you going to college? And da-da-da-da. And then, and I'll give credit to the coaches they're talking to, like some D2 coaches, some NAIA coaches. They're honest. They're brutally honest. Hey, we love you. We like what you do, but we're going to wait and see what happens with this 105. So when the big schools get down to 105, there's going to be a bunch of guys to just flood the market. The part where I give them credit for being honest is that. The part where I give them no credit for not being honorable and trusting your system is there's kids out there that play football in the state of Nebraska right now that are better than some of the guys that are on a 125-man roster. They are. But they're not going to, like that, this 2024 class is going to get, or 2025 class, I guess would be when they graduate. They're just going to get screwed because the perception from the Division II and NAI is that everybody up there that's there is better than what you are. And that's couldn't be further from the truth. Couldn't be further from the truth. But find guys that want to play. The little fat guy that plays center for Indiana. Just leans into it. The guy's old boiler on the front. Does his thing on the field, comes in, celebrates with the boys after. I'm going to go out on a limb, guess he's had 1 or 47 beers. Probably tonight or after that game against Purdue. But he ain't going to win no measurable charts. He doesn't look chiseled out of stone or granite. He's a football player. To call back to T.O. and Milt and Dan and Charlie and those guys. their evaluation of raw talent, I don't know if you'll ever see again. Look at the guy now, different time, different era, right? Our borders in Nebraska are down. There's multiple teams in just having a heyday, taking those guys that are tweeners. I mentioned two of them on air on, I believe, 1620, but there's two pure steals at Elkhorn North, 17 and 51. Don't know their names, know their numbers. 17 and 51. Tall, lanky, aggressive, ready to be built on. Like, 180 pound, 190 pound dudes right now. Fast to the ball, sure tacklers, diagnose plays. But they're 30 pounds away from like, damn, that guy's good at everything. He can stop the run, he can cover, he can blitz, he can do it. He can drop. But T.O. and those guys, when they could find talent, you didn't think of it at the time. Like, oh, they're just taking all these Nebraska kids and they're harvesting it and da-da-da-da. No, their evaluation, they saw what you could be. They saw where you should be. And their plan and procedure was lockstep. I would love to see like some backroom notes of that. I'm just going to use Steve Ott for an example. Coming out of Henderson. Like you see Otter, you're like, a little awkward. But they knew something. The size was there. The brain was there. Make it stronger. Make it go faster. And then go. Haas, a fullback, a roided up fullback at Battle Creek. No, you're going to be a center and a guard. We're going to put more weight on you. You're very, very athletic. We're going to make you just an athletic lineman that isn't that tall. And maybe that's what the evaluation, like the trade-off. Like you're not tall, but you're crazy athletic. Find those guys. Like Nebraska's offensive line, again, closes the season fantastically. That's the last crank of the ratchet, right? That's where you're at. So next year when we start to play, now this is the baseline, the way you've played in these last games. There can be no regression in the first few. They can't be like, oh, they XYZ didn't play very well. We've got to eliminate that. The expectation of you is how you played against USC, Wisconsin, Iowa. Okay. And now you have to build on that. I don't care that the parts change. I don't give a shit. That's not what if the Nebraska offensive line at the beginning or in this bowl game or at the beginning of next year isn't that, then we're wrong. Then something's wrong. Because you should just pick up the torch. But when you see those guys, do you think overly athletic? Like, do you see athleticism in that? I see a bunch of guys that maul, which I love. I see a bunch of guys that maul, and somebody lit a fire under Ben Scott's ass because he's been playing great at center. Lutovsky has made great strides. Benhart is Benhart. The left tackle spot struggled the whole game. 77 struggled, 56 struggled, and Evans Jenkins has just played a decent game. But that was enough for you to control the line of scrimmage, to control the ball. Like you outrushed your opponent, I think, by 100 yards. Like that's a big gap. If you can't, figure out a way to win in that, you can't. But the athleticism of that position has to step up. And now we know what a baseline should look like, right? Those last three games, what we're going to base it on. This bowl game that we're going to play in, whatever that is. If you guys know what it is, let me know. Actually, if you know what it is and you know you're going, let me know. Because just to see if we're really into that much of an abusive relationship. Walter says minus 117 combined turnover margin since 2004. Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot. Hey, legend, my good buddy Tony Ortiz in the chat. Hey, buddy, it's death by 1,000 cuts. I do believe we are in a position where we can build from this season or this will be the very best we will see from this group over the next extended 2 to 3 years. Oh, what a legend. God, that made my day. That's my guy, Tony Ortiz. Tone, I'm going to reach out to you. Oh, with the show for next year. Okay, we'll press on because I'm not a quitter. I'm not a pussy. I'm being in my feels. But then we're going to start the show at 9 o'clock. And then I think that will open up some chances for me to get to some fellas and see if they can come on the show. And then we can go for however long then. But then that way it'll help us out a little bit. Tony, my man, I hope everything's good with you, buddy. I miss you. I hope you get up here sometime. We can hang out. That's great. T.O. My buddy from Puerto Rico. The man. Sean says 15 needs to develop pocket presence. Most of his sacks this season were coverage sacks. Yeah, there's things that 15 can work on for sure. There's things they all need to work on. I know what Sean is saying here because you see it. And the clock in the head, he knows when it's going bad. He knows, hey, I got to get rid of this. I do think, a couple of those checkdowns that I really loved last week, like the little check down to the tight end, where the tight end would block for a minute and then be defeated in the block, but then filter out into the flat. Those were there a couple times. Credit Iowa and their defense when they knew they could cover the route concepts. Okay. And they really started to lock those down. Safety, linebacker, immediate key was check down. Make sure the check down. And if you watch them, they swarmed to that check down all the time. It did have the potential to hurt them in a couple of plays because I think they thought they could get home with 4 and sometimes 3. And then you have the bodies to be able to get the check down on the plays where Raiola had more time to throw. The coverage was just so freaking good. And the pocket just kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Again, it's Iowa. You're going to have an overachieving, aggressive White at defensive end. And their guy just wanted to beat our guy's ass more than our guy wanted to not. There wasn't anything fancy with anything. We looked slow-footed in some pass sets. They ran the hill, swiped the hands, got to the quarterback. Angle could have been better out of the initial kick step, but it wasn't. And then probably scary to me that it didn't get corrected. Like, you can't look over to a coach and say, what happened? You, in your mind, as you process this information, you have to say, hey, I kicked at this angle that last play. He beat me over the top, which I should never get beat there. I should want to make him counter inside so then I can just drive him into the pile, turn this into a run block, and just try to bury him in the earth. But then we get to the next pass play and the same over the top happens. Again, these are things you have to fix. You have to process the information that's given to you. He's beating me over the top. I have to change my angle of drop. I have to change my angle of my kick. And it was, sometimes we got it done, sometimes we didn't get it done. And it's not acceptable for the sometimes to not get it done. You have to get it done all the time. You are a college football player at a Power 4 school. Chances are you are getting money in addition to your education to be there. There is an expectation, and that expectation didn't get met. Mike says when we keep on getting beat on the line, don't we have another set of plays that we could get some of these guys help? It just keeps happening that the rush ends overpower us. Kind of tied into that one with you, Mike. I think some of that's just how the set goes. We probably, screen. I guess you could run screens in that. That would be something I would have maybe countered something with. But we'll see. Benning should have gotten 4-game audition returning punts. I get it, but not my pig, not my farm. Talked to his daddy last night. He didn't seem all that distraught about it, so must not even have been a discussion. Ted says, just getting tired of the same story. Brother, you and me both, man. I don't, any of the background, I stutter my way through this. Any of the background stuff, I don't log any of this stuff. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Somebody's got the clips. I'm pretty damn sure that I could play the Iowa game from last year and we'd be having the same discussion. And that's frustrating to me. Like you are frustrated as well, Ted. It's why restaurant to me, it's hard work, but I like it because every day is different. New people come through, new people exit, all those kind of things. But if I had and I did it for a while, where I was, in the office and it was the same shit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm like, Jesus, get me out of here. I'm gonna go bonkers. Thankfully, we're on the first floor. I got a whole bunch of windows that if we were on the 5th floor, it might not be long standing here for me. But it's so goddamn. For years, for regimes, for players. Walter probably has this turnover margin. He just updates it annually. He has the message saved. He just puts it up there. It's like, yep, here's our edition from this year, game by game. And he's wanted to fire everybody on every staff forever. Just edit name, redo the post. Just, I mean, I can't handle it. I just go bonkers. Like I'm watching the game, and I'm like, I am gonna have to say the same shit that I said last year. And God bless my staff that work for me. They're amazing kids. If you need anybody, let me know. I'll tell you what they can do. Whatever specialty they're studying, I will recommend them to the highest recommendation ever. But we botched the field goal, and I looked at the guy. I was like, it's over, and I just walked away because we're ahead. I was like, yeah, I know. It's searching for Bobby Fischer. You've lost. You just don't know it yet. Which I hate. I absolutely hate it. It drives me bonkers. But it was the pebble. Started to roll down the hill. Turned into an avalanche. And made us all watch the field goal go through the uprights to lose 13-10. So, yeah. But it's, Ted, you could not have said it any better. Like I'd said before, I was thinking about just ending this thing. I like you guys too much. You make me laugh. Hopefully I give you some information. But we'll press on. We'll do one after the bowl game, and then we'll move to. We want to move the bowl game recap show. Well, shit, let's not kid ourselves. We're gonna play it on like a Monday or Tuesday, so we won't wait till Sunday for that one. We'll do it the next day. It'll probably be at like 9 a.m. But yeah, next year Husker Hangover will be at 9. Like I said, I think if we can open it up now that I know that old Tony Ortiz is watching, we'll get old Tony on. He's awesome. Got the chance to call the game. We'll stick with outside linebackers. Brian Shaw's son played in that game, Sandy Creek championship game. So we'll see if old B Shaw can come on. Well, he's turned into an old man. He's the guy with glasses, which is fine. But he's very analytical. He's a farmer guy now. He's always been a farmer, but it's good to talk to Shaw during the game. So yeah, we'll get that happen. Walter asked what happened to Lloyd. He had 0 TDs this season. That's a great question. An asset that you could use, an asset that you could try to find a way to game plan and get creative with would be huge. I will work on my setup here in the new office because I move around too much to have this stuff attached to the desk that I'm at, and everything rattles and jingles. So we'll get that fixed. But yeah, another one. Like that's my point. Like the assets that they have to run an effective offense, They're there. You got burners, you got tall ones, you got, tall skinny, you got tall big, you got guys that are fast. Like, it should be an advantage. You got to take advantage of that. Johnny's correct here. Aaron Taylor would not be a D1 football player these days. He wouldn't even get looked at. You can add a lot to the list. Dominic Raiola probably doesn't get looked at. Dominic's about 6'1", 6'2". But man, you talk about a dog. You talk about a dog. Two dogs. Taylor and Raiola. Crazy, crazy, psychotically competitive. Crazy. I mean, nuts. But guys that just play the game. Don't fit the mold, play the game. Milt knew too. Milt knew too when he got T-Bone. And when he got AT, he knew. He's like, I got one. You could see it in his face. He knew he had a dude. And he did. Mike says the overall team football common sense, air quote, or IQ is low. There are some actions that should have been coached from junior football, forcing make a play rather than naturally to make play. Yeah. Now this is a fault. This is a fault of the system. And that's why it's cool. Like, Tony's got an organization set up, and there's programs that, as I see, like, little kids come in and they play football and then they'll move up to high school. And I'm like, hey, where did you play? Where'd you play little guy football at? And they'll tell you, and right away, their fundamentals are going to be shit. Okay. I know this in the Tony Ortiz setup, rocking the Husker gear down in Texas. His dudes are going to be legit. Like, his dudes will be fundamentally sound and know the game. I said for a long time, Lance Brown had an organization here. It was through Pop Warner, but they were so far ahead of everybody fundamentally. And now you're seeing, like, the kids that they coached are now playing in high school, and they know the game. So they then play out over their skis, some of them, if they're not as talented as the others. Little league coaches need to realize your little league city championship is worth less than the wood that they cut out to give you the trophy. Your long-standing success and where your real accolade comes from is when your players move on to the next level. And then the high school coach says, hey, this kid showed up ready-made. He knew the game. He knew footwork. He knew concepts. He knew route running. He knew this. And then if that kid's good enough to go on to the next level, and then he still mentions you, you did your job. Or if a kid on your team who doesn't have the talent to go to the next level after high school, if they start to coach, they say, hey, where'd you learn all this? My little league coach taught me this. This is how you're going to learn it, because I know more about the game than 90% of society, because he took the time to teach me how to do this. Not to run straight, turn left at 5. Take 5 steps, turn left, we're going to throw you the ball. It's not how it goes. It's not what it is. Billy, you're going to go here. Susie, you're going to go here. This is a high-low concept. Billy, you're going to run high. Susie, you're going to run low. And now this corner, this defender, he can't win. So we're going to throw it to the one of you that he doesn't go to. Teach the game. And if you don't know the game, then go on the internet. Okay? I do a decent job of coaching offensive line. All right? I don't just run drills that we ran back in Nebraska in the 90s. I study. I'll go watch teaching tape. There's tons of it out there. You can make yourself a student of the game. Bill Belichick, the greatest coach and general manager of football, played freaking lacrosse. It wasn't his thing. Now he's used his brain, and he's created, like, domination. By the way, if the Bears hire an offensive coach, I'm going to be super pissed. They should just hire Mike Vrabel and be the monster of the Midway and get some goddamn offense that can score like 14 points. Okay, quick sidebar. Thank you. But teach the game. Don't teach, oh, we won, we're the best. You're not. Your kids don't know the game. I'm sure your ego stroke for your city championships are great. Ask your kids where their trophies are. They're in some box somewhere. They don't give a shit about them. Teach them the game. Teach them ESPN highlight hit bullshit. Teach them the game. We can have a tournament up here and get all the former Nebraska guys that are coaching like youth football to come up and have a tournament. That'd be awesome. Sorry for the sidebar. Harry says, I agree on the measurables. Town is as cheap as table salt. Hard work and sacrifice works every day. Yeah. And then when you get talent, like we'll just keep talking about Tony because he's here. Tony was pressed by Brian Shaw. Tony's amazing. Tony's fast. Tony's so fast. He is fast as fuck. He is fast. Okay. Very cussy this morning. Sorry about it. Not really. But he knew he had to step his game up because this kid from Sandy Creek was just going to keep coming. He did. And it made him better. And he'll admit that. I got pressed by this guy, Klesser Johnson, John Vetto. I've told the story on here 100 times. Klesser Johnson, I had to work harder because this psychopath from Gregory, South Dakota just would not quit. Like, didn't take a day off. I had to. I didn't have a choice. I had to get better. And in the end, he's thankful for it. Iron sharpens iron. It really does. It really does. Mike, you eliminate this negative thought. Provided Raiola returns, will he be a leader? His chill demeanor may not have been projected leadership. Does Raiola take ownership? I agree. Yeah. I would like to see him, like I said, jump somebody's ass and just get after it. Right? Like yell at him, scream at him. Because you're going to be the dog, right? You're not a freshman. Go ahead and lead it. And if they revolt or if they talk back, okay, I know you're not in for this. If the ass chewing is warranted, if it's something they keep screwing up. But yeah, I'm with you. I would just love to see him take the reins and be like, got it. I'll take care of that guy. Walter. From a very reliable source, Corcoran and Prohaska will both be back next year. So you can take for that information what you like. I'm excited for one of them. I'll have to wait and see on the other. Laura, the beautiful Laura, who always chimes in, which we love. Then NIL needs to change performance driven. Hey, that'd be sweet. That would be awesome. Sorry. You didn't get 108 catches this week. You ain't getting no money. I think that's going to create a huge issue for the accounting side of that. So I know where you're at, Laura. I love it. Don't think it's going to happen. Maybe just in our world. I think that would be great. I think coaches' salaries should be performance driven too. While we're at it, your $8 million is guaranteed. It was guaranteed. You get to 6 and 6, you get $2 million. And then it goes up $1 million a game, coach. Good luck. Wish you all the best on the season. That would be great. Thank you, Todd. I'm glad you guys listen and love it. John Frost says seniors should be thanked for their services, but these extra practices and bowl games are the future. Encourage seniors to opt out or let them know that they're not playing. Not reading the last part. Yeah. It's anybody ever been in that situation where you're like supposed to go do something like, hey, it's okay if you don't show up. It's all right. You go do something else. Oh, sweet. I don't have to go do that. Like, no. No, 100% what you're saying, bud. Hopefully, or just a fast rotation. Like a ceremonial. You're going to start. Subs are coming in quickly. Next series. Because you've got to take it to find out. You've got to find out what you got. You just have to. We don't have the luxury of not knowing or waiting for the season the next year. Maddie says, you're nervous about the Man City Liverpool match today? Nope. No, I'm not. Yes, Walter, I know he's playing guard, but we've seen they'll move people around, buddy. Well, you asked me for options at tackle. I told you what I thought some options were at tackle. I think he's going to be a much better guard, but I've been down that path before, my guy. I think we're going to wrap her up for today. Thank you guys for participating. You did change my mood quite a bit today. Like I said, we'll do one after the bowl game. I really just need to get my shit together and probably get more of this stuff out. Just at different times. So that'll be my New Year's resolution. I know what you're getting at, Walter. I know what you're saying. I just um it is therapeutic for me. Thank you for that. Uh if you want your payment, I will have a beer for you at Paisans. That's how I pay my bills and beers. But attrition isn't going to be bad. Okay. We're all going to collectively exhale like, oh my God, this guy's leaving. We don't have anybody on our roster that's a make or break guy. If they want to go, usher them out. It's probably an addition by subtraction era for Nebraska. The crazy part to me is what the staff's still able to do. They got a flip yesterday of a big time receiver. They're in the mix for athletes, right? Which I would rather see them focus. Now the thing with I think he's out of Texas. The thing with the athlete they got, the kid is a receiver and a quarterback. So hey, obviously got to know quite a bit about the game to play that. So we'll see what happens there. But see them being active, and I'm trying to start to do some of my own research on the portal. We just got to pick up some linemen. We got to pick up some dogs. We got to have some ass kickers. And hey, if you get in a fight or two, like off the field, that's okay too. Might have too many nice guys. Gotta get some guys that are not right in the head. Those guys are the fun ones. But thank you guys. Always appreciate you listening and chiming in and helping me out. Hope I help you out as well. My good friend Nicole says, glad I didn't brave the cold for that. She has family in Iowa, so I'm sure she is not they are not being very nice to her. So I hope you get over that, Nick. But wish you guys all the best. Have a great Sunday. And like I said, when we figure out the bowl game, I may try to wrangle up some fellas and see who can come on, and maybe we'll do a pre-show, and then we'll for sure do a post-show. But love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and we will I think I say it after every year, but it'll get better. Somehow, some way, it'll get better. Have a great Sunday.